Hello, everyone. This is William Armstrong here to talk shortly about juice jacking and why is it suddenly back in the news approximately more than about 4 to 5 years later. Juice jacking first popped up back in 2011, but then after 2011 it stayed dormant for more than, see, about 10, 11, 12 years. 12 years ago, back in 2011, the term juice jacking came about. But then 12 years later, the term juice jacking pops back up, basically. I'm going to read a little bit about this and explain some of it. You can search juice jacking online to get more information if you want to do that. This article is written by Brian Krebs, Krebs and Security himself. He's a freelance security journalist himself that published this article, and I'm only going to give you a preview of it. It says here, Krebs on Security received a nice bump in traffic this week thanks to tweets from the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) and the Federal Communications Commission (FCC) about juice jacking, a term first coined here in 2011 to describe a potential threat of data theft when one plugs their mobile device into a public charging kiosk. It remains unclear what may have prompted the alert, but the good news is that there are some fairly basic things you can do to avoid having to worry about juice jacking. On April 6, 2023, the FBI's Denver's office issued a warning about the juice jacking in a tweet. Avoid using free charging stations in airports, hotels, or shopping centers, the FBI's Denver office warned. Bad actors have figured out ways to use public USB ports to introduce malware and monitoring software onto devices. Carry your own charger and USB cord and use an electrical outlet instead. 5 days later, the Federal Communications Commission (FCC) issued a similar warning. Think twice before using public charging stations, the FCC tweeted. Hackers could be waiting to gain access to your personal information by installing malware and monitoring software to your devices. This scam is referred to as juice jacking. So it says here the FCC tweet also provided a link to the agency's awareness page on juice jacking, which was originally published in advance of the Thanksgiving holiday in 2019, but was updated in 2021. Then again, shortly after the FBI's tweet was picked up by the news media. The alerts were so broadly and breathlessly covered in the press that a mention of juice jacking even made it into this week's late late show with James Corden. The term juice jacking crept into the collective paranoia of gadget geeks in the summer of 2011 thanks to the headlines of a story here about researchers at a DEF CON hacker convention in Vegas who set up a mobile charging station designed to educate the unwary to the reality that many mobile devices are connected to a computer would sync their data by default. You can search juice jacking, and this will also have an article by Brian Krebs, the FCC, FBI, and other articles on other websites talking about the same issue. And Hack 5 makes a cable called OMG Elite hacking cable that is a $180 hacking device made for professional penetration testers that looks more or less like an Apple or generic USB charging cable. Um, Hack 5 was created by Darren Kitchen and Shannon Morse. Shannon Morse, known as Snubs, she also is on the Hack 5 YouTube channel too, and they cover penetration testing gadgets and stuff like that. But this does not go without saying. Warning. Hack 5 is clearly solely not held responsible for what people do with these hacking penetration testing tools, such as the USB Rubber Ducky, the OMG Elite, and other penetration tools sold by Hack 5. I'll show you what I mean. At the Hack 5 shop, they sell other devices that are penetration testing tools used by pen testers, but however, it is ill advised that it's not recommended to be using this on a daily basis if you're not a pen tester. I'm aware that these devices can be used by regular people too, however, but the slight wah wah is that this does not stop regular users from using these too to do nefarious things, which is why Hack 5 would have to put in a disclaimer or explain not to abuse this for illicit reasons. Like, this is scary. Like, the USB rubber ducky, the OMG cable, all of these are very scary. It's been featured on Wired, Mr. Robot, National Geographic, Silicon Valley. It's been featured on NCIS, the FBI on CBS TV show, Blacklist on NBC, Person Interest on CBS, Superman, Kaleidoscope, Gotham Knights, the New York Times. It's gotten a lot of coverage. CNET's covered it. Wired has covered it. So basically, Hack 5 has gotten a lot of coverage from everyone about their devices and seen in some films too. Legitimately, yes. Used in some films or referred to or mentioned or something like that. But that doesn't go without saying that regular users should be aware that these are penetration testing gadgets that should be careful about using these for daily use because these could easily be abused or misused for nefarious purposes. There is such thing as ethical white hat hacking and black hat hacking. There is ethical hacking and black hat hacking as well. There's different things of it. Black hat hackers don't necessarily do things by the law or by the book. They don't. Black hat hackers don't give a crap about the law of computer use, meaning black hat hackers will break cybersecurity laws to do anything, but white hat hackers as cybersecurity researchers do follow rules and guidelines to do ethical hacking to learn more. Corey Knockreiner and Mark LaLiberte, those two do a 443 Security Simplified podcast, and they talk about different cybersecurity things on there too. And they themselves are cybersecurity researchers along with many others. They themselves talk about cybersecurity, but also I've also covered a video in the past that cybersecurity researchers have been accused of starting ransomware attacks by cyber criminals. So there have been some vendettas against cybersecurity researchers by cyber criminals too. But this also doesn't go without saying to not use certain devices unless you know what you're doing that are pen testing wise. I've heard of Kali Linux, Backtrack Linux. I've heard of Linux pen testing distros too. And there is also a device called a USB condom that exists that protects USB devices from data transfer that block the data pins on the USB line itself. That's what that's what USB condoms are for. These devices do exist. They're meant to be able to block data transfer on the data pins. You can make your own USB condom by taking a USB cable, cutting it, or breaking the insulation to find the data wires on it, cutting the data wires itself only, leaving the power wires, the red and black wire intact, but cutting the data line wires out and then resealing the cable up to make your own USB cable condom just by disabling the data lines on the USB cable and any USB cable of sorts to prevent data transfer on that cable. There's two methods. You can buy a USB data blocker known as USB condom online, or you can make your own just by modifying a USB cable, or another way is taking two USB Type A connectors, soldering only together just the power wires, but leaving the data wires unused, creating your own condom, or USB condom that is. Anyway, I just wanted to say that this is William Armstrong signing out, but I wanted to raise a bit of awareness and discussion on the whole term USB condom and juice jacking, since juice jacking has made its way in the news recently, and I think the juice jacking thing is a bit overblown for one, because I'm running Android 12 and Android phone myself, and my mom, she has an iPhone that's got at least the iPhone 13 or iPhone 14, one of those. I forget which model it is. But anyway, both our phones will, well, at least her phone will display it'll display a trust box asking to sync data to a trusted computer by simply prompting the user to select trust on the computer they plugged the iPhone into. So if I had an iPhone, for example, if I plugged in the iPhone to a computer, it'll say, "Do you trust this computer to sync with this device?" It'll display the MAC address, or it'll display some kind of identifier of the device you want to sync data to, something like that. Like it'll display some kind of identifier to indicate the computer you're plugging into. Therefore, it gives you the option to trust or deny. Android uses a different prompt directly in and of itself. So, anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is William Armstrong signing out, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.